So that storm was pretty intense and took out the other half of my tree. And interestingly enough, the other peach trees were actually totally fine. I had pruned them back a bit, I'll show you that. But sad day, more of this tree is gone. And it's funny because a few weeks ago I had mentioned that I'm not too concerned with some of these other branches hanging just because of the angle of the wood. And I was more afraid of this one, and it failed. It split right where I said it. I thought it might. So maybe I should have done something more. Maybe I should have cut it back. I did thin it a little more, but that was too much. So this tree here actually survived fine, and despite that crazy wind, the supports actually even stayed, which was surprising. And this one I did tip prune quite a bit of the ends, so that definitely helped. So I pruned these back quite a bit. Even these up here, I cut those back quite a bit. So I think Chris, one of the viewers, Edible Landscaping, he made a great comment that sometimes when you use an understory tree as your overstory tree for a guild, you know, maybe a heavy fruit bearer and you're trying to let it get tall and make the food forest look foresty, maybe sometimes there's prices to pay for that. And I guess I'm finding that out. I kind of learned my lesson, I guess, a little bit there. I didn't want to prune these too much of the tips because I do want them tall. I want this to look epic. And a lot of fruit sets up there and bends the branches and breaks them. So lesson learned. Guess I have to learn some lessons the hard way. This tree held up really well, and I think the structure of this tree is much better. I think I did a better job pruning this tree, and just the natural structure of the tree allowed me to do a bit of a better pruning job with better angles on all the branches. Just had like 8 little baby rabbits go scurrying off the woods. I don't think I'll be lucky enough to see them. Where'd they go? They're pretty cute. This peach tree down here has held up fine. So this one, no damage as well. It's bowing over pretty heavy in some spots, but there's no damage. So this one's kind of flexed over quite a bit. So far so good on this. I'm gonna probably come down here and prune the tips off. Get that tree a little shorter as well. So yeah, like I said, lesson learned. And I guess that's it, isn't it? Sometimes we know what the right thing to do is. We maybe take half measures with maybe a little bit of greed. And sometimes we gotta learn our lessons ourselves. It's just the way that it is. Gonna have a ton of blackberries very soon. Putting out some huge new growth up there. And here's the lower swale, and then our raspberries. We put some raspberries on this lower swale, and they're starting to produce as well. So this is their first year. They're starting to runner. Got some more there. And then the main raspberry patch here. This thing's loaded up. We've been pulling off just baskets of raspberries off this. Just tons of them everywhere. Every day, you know, raspberries that look like this will look like this the next day. So we come in, take them all off. Next day we got a whole nother basket of them. It's crazy to me to think that I spent $6 4 years ago and it still paid me back. I love vanilla ice cream, and these red currants put into the fridge and then put into vanilla ice cream, oh my goodness, it's to die for. It's like my one vice. I eat very healthy except for my ice cream. I love ice cream in the summertime with fresh fruit from the garden. I don't know if I can give that up. It's just so good. I'm excited to try peach jam this year. If anyone's ever tried it, let me know. In fact, any peach thing, I'm gonna need to make peach cobbler and peach pies and fresh eating peaches, but we've never had a problem with eating all our peaches because my kids will literally eat like a dozen peaches a day, but we might have more than that this year, so we'll need lots of peach recipes. Even this little peach tree, I know this isn't ideal. I should be pulling all these peaches off, but you know, sometimes I don't even follow my own advice. I'm really curious. I was curious to see how many peaches this thing would hold on. And I have so many peach trees that I don't really care if this one gets struggled a little bit by putting all that fruit. But like, is this not a hero tree? Like, look at this thing. Putting all those peaches on? Come on, man. What are you doing? The black currants are loaded up. These are my favorite for jam. Actually, just looking, some of these are falling. So there's quite a few in here. But I'll have to clean those up because you don't want to leave fallen fruit down on the ground because that's kind of how you get fruit flies. So you want to avoid that if you can. But we're going to probably have to harvest some of these currants pretty soon. Now, I'm a mushroom fiend. I love mushrooms so much, but I have not been able to keep up to the amount of mushrooms that we've pulled out of this. Even just this one patch this year, it's been ridiculous. So there's still a bunch there that I'll probably transplant, but you can see, you know, even these black ones that are pretty much all completely done. It's kind of neat to see their life cycle and how they decompose, return back to the soil. But man, I have been eating so many mushrooms and I love them, but it's just too much food. Earlier in the season, this is part of the expansion that we did, and I mentioned that Lucy ran over this heart nut here like a freight train and cracked it off. So here's where she ran and cracked it off, and this was taken right down to nothing, and it actually totally survived. So that is really nice. I thought we would have lost this tree because it wouldn't have had enough time to get any roots established to be able to regrow, but it actually did well. Really good. So heart nut, very hardy, very resilient to large dogs running it over and taking it right to the ground within a few days of being planted. Here down by the roadside guild, we've got gooseberry. So this is in the currant family. It's a ribes plant, but it's got even larger berries than a currant bush, but it does have thorns. So here's a thorn here, for example. So those are the kind of thorns you're looking at. They're fairly substantial, actually. I'm probably guessing that variety based, you know, some will be more thorny than others, but the fruit's fantastic. You do need to let it really ripen. It'll be really sour and astringent if you don't let it ripen fully, but they're very productive. So that's gooseberry. So there you go. A post windstorm video update, kind of thrown together quick little video. Thanks for watching, guys. I'll see you on the next one.